One veggie hummus, one kebab platter. Here at Joon, we cook Persian and Middle Eastern food. So our menu here at Joon is broken down into various categories. You have our matse, which is like small plates. You have our vegetables, our land, and our sea, which is a blend of different kebabs and other dishes.
I think in his past life, he was Persian.
So Chef Najmieh, my business partner here, and mentor, we've known each other since 2013 or 14. I mean, if you ask Ottolenghi and Jose Andres, who is the foremost person on that cuisine, they'll say Najmieh.
And when Reza reached out to me for opening restaurant, I said the only condition is if Chris Morgan agreed to become the chef.
One lamb meatball working. Fire Borani, lamb meatballs, that's 2 all day. Veggie hummus. Thank you. So yeah, it is 8:30 in the morning at Joon. Our amazing prep cooks, Lupe and Christina, as they always are, hard at work with a massive list in front of them. Right now, at least, they're making 3 of our different specialty rices. So we have our fava bean and dill rice, and then you have our sour cherry rice, and then a third one she's making right now is gonna be our sabzi polo, that's an herb rice. So rice is extremely important in Persian cooking. I've actually never met anyone that eats as much rice as the Iranians that I know. So we do about 600 pounds of basmati rice a week, which is quite a lot. So they parboil all of the rice in salted water, and then we'll drain it off, cool all the rice, and then they'll use that as the base to make what's called tahdig. Tahdig refers to the crispy layer of rice on top. It's baked upside down, and we flip it out onto a plate, and you get that cool aha moment when you flip it over. So we're gonna take the tahdig containers. We'll take some saffron butter, melt them, portion them out between each bowl, and then we're gonna take this tahdig layer and we'll press it at the bottom. And then what we're gonna do is we'll build out each one of these with the steamed rice, the specialty rices, as well as our white rice, and these get banked in the walk-in and saved for service. We have about 1,000 of these containers in the restaurant that we use at any one time. The trick to doing this is to press the rice as hard as humanly possible. So this base part you can do softly and just make sure it's uniform, but you're adding all that other rice on top. But we'll do probably at any one given time, you'll have about 500, probably about 550 filled and ready to go. You know, I'm big on consistency. I don't like going to a restaurant one time and having something taste different than the next, as any chef is. And for us, this is the best route to serve as many people as we do and produce a great quality product with consistency. We do cook a massive amount of rice at the restaurant. I think in a given week, we will go through 16 to 18 40-pound cases of basmati rice. It should be on the table. It's a huge part of the meal. So this is Chef Yakoub. He is our kebabi. So I am very blessed to have him on the team. He's been making kebab for 20 plus years.
I know how to measure it
Yeah.
because I do this for a long time. Approximately 7 ounces each when we come to the end. I know without the counting, I know everything is the same size.
And when he creates the divots, it allows for like even caramelization of the meat. It also creates a difference in balance of textures, which I find super fascinating. So like some pieces will be a little more crispy, some pieces will be a little softer in texture, all the while giving you like a beautiful mouthfeel, which is super important. This is hyper traditional. What he's doing right now is the best kebab shops in the world do it like this. Yeah, no, there's no way we could have this menu without kebabs. People would not be very happy with me if I opened an Iranian restaurant without kebabs. But he's about to make our Barg, which is a beef tenderloin kebab. This is the most labor-intensive thing of all the kebabs by a mile.
Just cut and open.
He's using the dull side of the knife intentionally so he doesn't cut all the way through the meat. This is the most important part.
When we hammer it, make it more smooth, exactly thickness, what we need for its cure.
When you pull this kebab, it should literally pull apart. Really soft texture you're used to, but being able to like pull apart like strands of it. So he's gonna make do tarafe, which means two-faced, or what we call it is kabir kebab, which is like the king kebab. So he's gonna take our ground beef kubide, and spread it across the filet. And it creates a beautiful textural contrast when you cook it on the grill, because you get that rich flavor of the kubide and then the soft, tender flavor of the tenderloin that's been marinated underneath. It's really, really special. And he is the only person I've ever seen make this, so. You know, having someone with his expertise, which is making kebabs for 20 plus years, and he's Iranian and understands the flavors and how things should look and how things should taste and the textures and all these things that are so important, obviously, to executing food that is not my own. I've had to learn a ton, and you know, I wake up every day nervous. I want to make sure the food's the best as humanly possible. That is my ultimate goal. I want to pay respect and homage to the people of Iran who hold this food near and dear. This is our pastry chef, Anna. She's amazing. This is called Andaz-e, basically an Iranian version of Tarte Tatin. So she's paying attention here to the color of the caramel. So what she'll do is she's basically playing with the flame to create that caramel color throughout, right? You want that same color across it. So she's tucking in the dough here, so you get that nice edgy crust when you flip it back over. It'll rest nicely on top of the apples. It'll really soak in all of that caramel flavor as well. And she's going to finish these in the oven and then flip it out. And those get portioned, and then we'll reheat those in the oven to order. There's a little bit of cardamom and cinnamon in here as well. We'll serve this dish with a lemon curd whipped cream, topped with limon almani, ground dried Persian lime. When this dish is finished, it's my absolute favorite, so. All right, so we have a beautiful 75-pound Shenandoah lamb, grass-fed, grass-finished. We get one of these in a week. We're gonna break it down into primal cuts. I'm gonna use this for various specials and regular dishes on the menu. So first up, I'm gonna take off the neck, and we're gonna make a dish called Dizi. So this is gonna get trussed and tied and braised. We're gonna split everything off individually. Lamb's just a huge part of Middle Eastern and Iranian cooking in general. I've been cooking with lamb for a very long time. For me, it's absolutely one of my favorite flavors. And it's really beautiful because there's so many different cuts, right? You have your off cuts, you have your regular primal cuts, and all of them require different time and attention. So now we're gonna take the lamb neck. I'm gonna tie this up with one continuous knot, and then we're gonna go season in the back and get this ready to braise for the next 4 hours. So we're kind of R&Ding this together right now. My thinking, Yakoub, is to go ahead and tie this.
Yes.
So we'll tie this so it cooks super uniform throughout the braising process. Yakoub's mentioning scoring it, which I think does a lot, especially allows more flavor since we're not curing it or anything in advance to kind of get into the center of the meat, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah, it's nice.
All right.
Yeah, let's do that.
So this is a traditional Moroccan cooking vessel. It's called a Tachin, but basically it's a Dutch oven that has a sealed top. We're gonna sear all the meat and vegetables in here and then lock in all that flavor, all that moisture, everything, and it's gonna slowly braise inside the pot. So we take that lamb neck, kind of combining both of our ideologies behind my cooking experience and his idea of how the dish should be executed to come up with a homogeneous idea that I think worked really well. So the spices Yakoub and I discussed are very traditional, right? So you've got chili, you've got turmeric, black pepper, tomato, saffron.
It's no sour, but they give you a little bit like a spice. It's not gonna be spicy, but give you a good flavor.
So you want to start by giving your caramelization. Then we're gonna add the potato, the tomato, the chickpeas. Then we're gonna pull the meat out. We're gonna add in our veg, saute that, then fold the meat back in, then add the remaining ingredients, and then we pop it back in the oven. Goal being, how can we create as much flavor in every process as humanly possible? It doesn't matter how good you are. You can be the most famous chef in the world. You're as good as the last dish you put out, in my opinion. So I wake up every day with that chip on my shoulder. Like, if someone had a bad dish last night, I feel that. And then this, once again, will get covered and slow cooked till it's fall apart tender. All right, so Paco is setting up our Robo Blixer. This is like a gigantic Robo Coupe, which is a food processor that has a vacuum seal function. Most importantly, we use it for our hummus. We use dried chickpeas that we soak overnight in a baking soda solution. Those are cooked, gonna go in with the garlic into the Robo Blixer. These are gonna get pureed until super, super fine. And then we'll start to add the rest of our ingredients. Lito. Hummus is not Iranian, right? We're a blend of Iranian and Levantine food here at the restaurant. Hummus just eats really well with everything. It's also really approachable. So to be totally honest, we have hummus on the menu and certain things because we know that your average bystander who goes and looks at the menu is going to say, oh, hummus, I'm familiar with that. Yeah, so we're going to add ice. This is going to add a nice bit of air into the hummus, which is going to help it be a little fluffier. It's also going to help blend everything together more, and it's going to cool it down. So now we add the tahini. The number one most important thing for me is texture when I'm having hummus. But then within texture, you're looking for the blend of tahini and lemon juice. With tahini, you get that, like, you know, the peanut butter texture in your mouth. If it's too much, that it's like makes your gums stick together, there's too much tahini in my opinion. Abrimos. Está rico. Ya listo. My favorite hummus is lemony and bright. A little garlic on the back end, nicely seasoned, smooth. And then when it gets to the plate for the guest, we're gonna be really happy with where we are texturally as well as flavor and seasoning. And we're gearing up for lunch service. So right here you have one of our lunch specials, which is our chicken kebab. So it's a juje kebab. Right now is when we start to get hit a little bit with our big lunch rush between the hours of 11:45 and 1:45. So we're cruising right now. So yeah, Paco's gonna start making our whole Bronzino dish. So this dish is called mahi yeshekam por, which is a whole stuffed Bronzino. Usually this dish is filleted horizontally and then stuffed with a dried fruit filling. We try to do something a little more interesting, which we fillet the fillets off of the spine partially to create kind of a pocket at the top of the fish, and then we'll stuff it with our filling. I mean, there's a lot of coastal regions in Iran, right? You have the water in the north and the water in the south, so there's a lot of seafood in that cuisine. Of the dishes that I've learned how to make with my partner Najmieh, this is one of the ones I'm most excited about for sure. For these, we'll probably do about, I'd say on average, 10 a day. On weekends, we can sell upwards of like 20 to 22 on a busy Saturday. So I was eager to find a whole fish recipe, and then Chef Najmieh and I got to talking about this dish, and we created a beautiful dish that I think presents and eats incredibly well. And I think it's a very unique fish dish that is probably will not leave the menu. Now that they're done, we're just gonna put these in the walk-in, and then the cooks will pull these out in advance of service, and then we'll roast these to order. We've been cooking Dizi all day, which is the braised lamb neck that we took off of the whole lamb that we butchered this morning, that Yakoub and I collaborated on. Chef Najmieh is well familiar with this dish, so now we're kind of gonna just try it together as a team and then figure out how we should plate it, what it should go with, all those things.
Now in Iran, it's becoming very chic dish. And before, nobody really eat this in the restaurant. It was in the working class area of the city.
Lamb neck's so rich, just falls right off the bone.
This is the way you put piece of the bread in it, and you let it soak, and you put a little bit of pickles inside.
This is what happens when you go to her house.
And you
She
mix
force feeds you for 2 hours and then you can't walk.
It's hot. Neck of the lamb is the cheapest part of the lamb because a lot of people, they don't use it, and that's the most delicious part. Joon in Persian means life. When you eat a piece of delicious any kind of dish, you say Joon, means that's oh so lovely.
Guys, all day you have one kebab platter, filet medium well, one sauce tray, bahunta, 2 cash, 1 hummus, 1 meatball, 2 regular pistachio soup. So in a restaurant this size, being 265 seats, fully loaded, the kitchen can be very chaotic. So this is our bread station, as well as where we cook all of the rice, finish all the rice, that is. It's a Pizza Master oven. Our flatbread we cook on these stones at 700. And then the rice will start at 700 and move to the 600-degree oven. Gustavo will be making miles and miles of bread all night long.
We are gonna grill our prawns right now for Tachin. We are gonna fill it up with shrimp inside, and then we will cover it back with the rice.
Chef Typhoon's worked all over Washington, D.C. and some of the best restaurants here and is an absolute machine, and I'm very fortunate to have him on the team.
We have our 3 quart of rice and labneh, eggs, saffron, olive oil, dill, and fava bean. And we are going to mix it all together, and then we are going to build them inside this metal containers we use for the oven.
And then we have the prawns that are gonna get folded into the center, and then we have our additional Tachin rice that's gonna go on top of that before being baked for 20 minutes. One veggie hummus, 1 kebab platter. Baba, fire kebab platter con cherry rice. Table 4. How long meatballs? Hands, dong, 218, lamb and chicken. Joon is I don't like calling it fine dining. I think it's more of an upscale dining experience showcasing the beautiful flavors of Iran and the Middle East in a modern way. It's a blend of traditional and non-traditional. I think there's a unique opportunity at this restaurant with the way the menu's built to have an experience that you can't have anywhere else. If you dine the right way, if you're guided by your server and you listen to their advice and go through that food journey that I've talked about, right? And building out that tablescape, I think we offer something that a lot of people don't have. Fire lamb shoulder, duck pheasant, Joon, cucumber salad. Hands, 213, kubide with herb rice. I just want people to be happy. That's my main goal. But if people can come in here and feel like they had a different experience than any other restaurant, I feel like I'm winning.